Wendy, looking back on your 6 years on council, what are you proud of achieving as an individual councillor and as a collective?
Oh, wow. As an individual councillor, I think one of the first things that I was incredibly proud of, and it's so simple and yet it's so impactful, was advocating for and ultimately achieving the fantastic transparency that comes from something as simple as live streaming. So when I was first elected, I came in on a by-election, and as I'm sure you know, Andrew, when you come in on a by-election, everyone around you is already running. You've just put your feet under the desk and you start working out, well, what can I do to make a difference? And for me at the time, I'd realised that as someone who had a business background and was a young mum, but hadn't really had much to do with politics aside from obviously being a ratepayer and being interested in what's happening. I realised that the big gap we had as a council was it was very hard for people to attend or hear the debate around items. We got to hear the decisions, but not the debate. And so the moment I got on council, I spoke with the chief executive and Mayor Sandra, who'd just been elected at the time, and we got the wheels rolling on that particular and managed to have it turned on before the end of that first triennium that I was on council, and I was thrilled. And the feedback I still receive from people is it is great to be able to at any time hold your elected members accountable, because you can go back to those live streamed and recorded meetings and see what's happening at any time. Moving on from that first training, the other thing I'm incredibly proud of is, as the former chair of the District Development Subcommittee, I got to play a really active role in our place-based housing plan. And as you know and have reported on before, Andrew, we've seen huge success in that area of getting our families out of motels and into safe, warm homes. And we look at that really holistically too, because it's not just those families who are in motels and emergency housing. It's also our seniors who needed safe, warm homes as well. It's also working with so many different partner organisations, including iwi and government, to make sure that we're enabling the upgrading of existing housing stock too, to make it safer and warmer. And I was really proud of the policy changes we made, albeit some of them have been a little bit kiboshed by national policy statements brought in by central government since, but to move our RSE workers into custom accommodation so that they weren't overwhelming our rental market. I think housing is absolutely one of the proudest things that I've been involved in my time on council and been able to have a leadership role in. Outside of that too, when I first joined council, it was just after the Havelock North water crisis, and seeing the huge benefits to our community of having that resilient intergenerational infrastructure invested in, over $100 million worth of drinking water and water infrastructure that we as a community invested in. And at a time where, by golly, I'm glad we did, because if we were trying to do the same type of project now, it would cost tens of millions more. And it makes up a big portion of our current debt profile. I think it's almost 55% of our current debt profile is made up of water service costs. But those are intergenerational investments and absolutely at the heart of what council does.
So will you be standing for re-election next year?
I think it's probably a bit early for me to make that call. And the reason why I say that is because actually I'm busy. I'm busy with recovery. I'm busy with doing the job that I've been elected to do. And I'm hoping everyone's doing that. I realise it's an election year next year, but that's the time later to be having those conversations. Right now is about doing the doing and making sure that we're doing what our community elected us to do.
Because I was going to ask you as well, and I will ask you, would you consider standing for mayor?
That's a really humbling question to be asked. Thank you. And look, I'd be lying if I said that people hadn't been having that conversation with me. But I will say again to them, to you, what I've been saying to them, which is right now is about us doing the job we've been elected for. We shouldn't be electioneering right now. There's all sorts of time for that later.
So you'll make a decision next year then?
Yeah, and look, whether I stand again, whether I stand for mayor, whatever those situations look like, that's a conversation with my husband and my children, and that's a conversation with my wider community.
Wendy, Schollum, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and all the best for the future, and we'll be in touch again.
Thanks, Andrew.